si nag-isip ka kasi sa class.
No?
Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm here in Morden Hall Park in South London, and I'm going to do a painting of the scene behind me. I like the water, it's very shallow and very clear, so you get to see the surface of the riverbed, which has quite a nice orangey glow to it. So I've toned my canvas to this orangey imprimatura, and in some areas that can shine through, which I think will look nice. I also like the reflections on the water and the general curve of the river going into the composition. Remember, please subscribe to my channel and let's start painting. I'm sketching in the big compositional shapes using raw umber paint, and I'm also wiping away some of this yellow imprimatura in a few areas to bring out some of the white of the panel for the light section where you can see the sky between the trees, and also some of this light section of the sky which is getting reflected into the water. Using a mix of raw umber paint and ultramarine blue, I'm painting in the dark tree trunks of the trees, which are some of the darkest areas of the painting. So by establishing this darkest dark of the trees and also the lightest light of the sky, I give myself a key to work with and to place the other values in the scene in relation to these. One of the challenges you face when painting a scene like this, which has a lot of green foliage, is trying to get some variation throughout the different areas of the painting and not having the whole painting look like just one section of the same colored green. So I'm consciously trying to push some of the greens closer to yellow or closer to blue in order to give the painting a nicer aesthetic, and also to help separate different sections of the trees to give the painting a bit more clarity, so the scene is easier to read overall. As I paint, I start by painting this section with thin paint to cover the area quickly and to find the right value and colour for the overall section. I then work on top of this and build up the paint with finer details and subtler shifts in colour and tonal value. One reason that it helps to paint thinly in the early stages of a scene like this is when I paint the finer details like these branches, I can easily paint fine definitive brushstrokes for the branches over sections of thin paint which dry quicker, and it won't mix as much as trying to paint over thicker paint. In areas where the values are particularly dark or very light, I try to avoid painting on top of any wet paint to avoid the colours mixing. For example, as I paint these white flowers on the riverbank, I leave a section of the panel blank so that I can paint the white mass directly on top of the dry panel using pure titanium white. I then add a few dabs of thick white paint in the surrounding areas to depict some individual flowers. To paint the reflections in the water, I find it helpful to really observe what is above the water to understand what is causing the reflections, as by just observing the water, its constant movement and its translucent nature can make it very hard to keep track of the bigger shapes and the correct positioning of these reflections. For the foliage in the trees, I'm using a colour mix of ultramarine blue, cadmium yellow and yellow ochre. And for some areas I also add a touch of titanium white into the mix and alizarin crimson in certain areas, as well as varying the amount of yellow and blue in certain sections of the foliage, as I'm really trying to push for variety within the greens. Using a filbert brush, I'm now painting in the sky, which is breaking through the trees. I'm using a colour mix consisting of mostly titanium white with a small touch of ultramarine blue and raw umber. I'm painting around the existing shapes of the foliage and the branches that I've painted to keep this light colour mix clean and not to create a muddy light green mix by painting on top of the wet paint of the foliage. So I hope you enjoyed that video of me painting in Morden Hall Park. It's been a really nice scene to paint. I had a lot of fun trying to get some of these reflections in the foreground. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video.